Austin here, and on this week's episode, I got something a little different. I have a guest and two guests, actually, co-founders of a store on Shopify that's been around since 2016. And you've probably heard of the store before because they're crazy successful, and they do a fabulous job, which most people should be doing in Shopify store, which is having a mission and telling their story and making human connections, right? These two gentlemen do a fantastic job of it. And the store is called John's Crazy Stocks. And the founders are John and Mark Cronin. Mark is the father, John is the son. And if you haven't heard their story before, I'm going to hand it over to Mark right now, and he's going to tell you a little bit about the history and the mission behind John's Crazy Stocks. Welcome, Mark.
Sure. You want to say hey to Scott?
Hi, Scott.
Hey, John.
Nice to meet you. My name is John. This is my partner, my dad, Mark. We are John's Crazy Stocks.
What's our mission?
Spread happiness.
Spreading happiness. All right. So, Scott, origin stories matter. We'll tell you real quickly, how we got started and why. It was back in the fall of 2016. And where were you?
I'm in school.
So, what people may know, or many may not, if you have a disability, you can stay in the public school system anywhere in the U.S. until you turn 21. But then you got to go. It's sometimes known as the 21-year-old cliff. And that's what John was. And you have Down syndrome, right?
I do.
Right? So, like everybody else, John was trying to figure out, what do I do next? Didn't see a lot of good options, which is an unfortunate reality. There aren't a lot of good options for people with disabilities. But John, he is a natural entrepreneur.
Yes, I am.
Right? He looks at that, and instead of seeing a problem, sees it as an opportunity. If I can't find a job, I'll make one. And what'd you tell me?
I said I want to go a business with my dad. A nice fellow that business.
Right? So we'll jump to the last one. There were a couple of false start ideas. But right before Thanksgiving, you had your eureka moment. What'd you say?
I said I want to start Crazy Stocks. It's colorful, fun, creative. It will always be me.
We used to drive around looking for socks for John. So we figured if John loved them that much, surely there would be other people and we could find that tribe. And we went the lean startup route, and Shopify was great for making that possible. We didn't do a lot of analysis. We didn't do a lot of planning. What we said was, we'll build a site, we'll get a little inventory, and we'll see if people respond. And they will tell us whether or not this is a good idea. Well, it turned out we opened on what day?
Friday, December 9th, 2016.
Right? Not without the bumps. What time were we going to open?
At 10 in the morning.
10 in the morning. And what happened?
Well, that's right. This is my dad.
Because the webmaster at the time, that'd be me, messed up the code and crashed the site. These things are going to happen. We opened at 3 in the afternoon, and it tested well, right? We shipped 452 orders. We had in that month, we had 13,000 in revenue, and we learned this was something we could do. And what we've built is a different type of business model. It's a social enterprise. We have both a social mission and a business mission, right? Overall, it's spreading happiness and showing what people with different abilities can do, right? So it's 4 pillars: inspiration and hope, giving back,
find part you can love, make it personal.
Right? So real quickly, the making it personal, we're always driving on that, but it's epitomized by the fact that every package gets
I get thank you note and candy.
A handwritten thank you note from John and a package of candy.
That's a lot of writing you're doing there. That's really impressive.
Well, we do copy it now. Though there was a fun Reddit thread once of people trying to figure out how many hours it would take John to write all those notes.
24 hours.
And again, you get little blips. When we started, what candy were we using?
Hershey Kisses.
Which everybody loved. You'd open the package, you'd smell the chocolate, until we got the email from the woman in Florida. Saying, you may not want to be sending chocolate through the mail. So what do we put in now?
Skittles.
Skittles, right? fun products and socks you can love. You know, at its heart, what drove us to do this was John love of socks. And that means offering great selection, great products, great service. Today, we now have over 3,000 SKUs. We are the world's largest sock store in terms of choice. Nobody else offers this much. Right?
That's amazing.
So it's got to be about the socks and the service. We do our own shipping. It's same day shipping. An order comes in, it's going out that day. The giving back is baked into what we do. You see that in two big ways. One, we pledge 5% of our earnings to the Special Olympics. Why the Special Olympics?
I am best Olympic athlete.
And two, we have a whole series of products that raise awareness of causes and raise money for charity partners like the National Down Syndrome Society, Autism Speaks, the Cerebral Palsy, the American Nurses Foundation.
Yeah.
And so this is pretty cool. So far, we have donated over $450,000. And this is a real cool thing. This month, John, a Special Olympic athlete, with the last check, is now donated more than $100,000 to the Special Olympics, which
Very
is
impressive.
But then, it's ultimately, inspiration and hope. It's hiring people with different abilities. So more than half our workforce has a different ability, and showing the world what they can do through. We do tours, and we have work groups and speaking engagements and media appearances.
Advocacy,
right? We've testified twice before Congress,
Yep.
spoken at the United Nations. So all this wraps up to John's Crazy Socks. And I'll segue into what we're going to talk about with the website. It presents a challenge because there's so much to get across that you have to figure out the best way to do that. And the website has to reflect the social mission, but it's got to be a great e-commerce website. And balancing that out can be a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. But, as we're pivoting, let's actually, pivot a little bit and start talking about the website there. Because, overall, right, you guys actually have a fabulous website, right? You've got a few thousand products up there. You can find them all, whether it's through search or browse. You've got lots of promotions going on, things, and you have a brand, right? Your whole mission of happiness and fun, it totally comes through in everything you're doing. With the colors you pick and the story you tell. I love at the bottom, you have these, I just call them, branding elements, the four kind of not perfect circles, which I like the fact they're not perfect circles. I think it matches with your brand. But that resonating across really well, and like the little confetti thing, right? Your brand is really cool and all there. The challenge you have, like anybody with 3,000 SKUs, especially you have 3,000 socks, right? It's not like you've got, socks and shirts and hats and hoodies. And so, you've got some of those other products, but just 3,000 socks. That's a really hard process for the customer to make a decision, right? And I work a lot with stores that have big catalogs. And the way I describe it, it's all about building out a shopping experience that allows the person to find the one that's right for them, right? Many stores do a great job in showing all their products. Very few stores do a good job in merchandising their products and making it so the customer is confident in the decision that they're making, right? So, the way I look at a store to start off with is I go to the most important page, which is the product page, right? So I don't start at the home page when I design a website. I don't start at collection pages when I design a website. I start at the product page. And, the first thing to think about is on your product page, what is a product, right? For example, you already do a good job of if this pair of socks came in 2 different colors, that would be one product with 2 variants, right? Which is, to me, the right way to do it for that product. Other apparel stores will have those as 2 separate products, which I think is more confusing. So I think
you used to do that.
Yeah.
You keep getting smarter.
Yeah. Oh, everything's an evolution, right?
Right.
Nobody knows how to do this stuff day one. And, the people that get, better at it are the ones that stay in it longer and become more successful.
And we have to, I think, to be successful, you have to keep driving ourselves, because we do customer satisfaction surveys. We're always looking for feedback. We do a rolling customer satisfaction survey. And we ask them about the website and ease of use. And did you find what you wanted? And overwhelmingly, the answer is yes, we love it.
Yep.
But if we took that and went home, we'd be in trouble.
Yes. Well, and some of your customers, everybody's you guys are super fantastic, right? You come across so well. You have a great mission, a great story. No one's going to speak bad about you, even if the shopping experience was bad, to be perfectly honest, right? Because, why do people buy from Amazon? It's not because they have a great shopping experience. I actually believe that Amazon is the worst shopping experience on the internet. But people buy there because they have everything and 2-day shipping and free shipping. Because of those things, people are happy with Amazon. They're not happy with the shopping experience.
Right. Nobody feels warm and fuzzy about Amazon.
Yeah. And you spend way more time trying to figure out which of the 4,700 different tripods is the right one for you. But here, on your product page, who writes your product descriptions, by the way?
We have multiple people writing those. So
they are fantastic.
We've done it a number of different ways. When we started, I was writing them. This is how you evolve.
Yep.
It's like the Big Bang Theory. When we started, it was just us. And then as you grow, you add people. What we've done is we put together a network of people that write them, that love writing these things.
Yep.
We have different staff members write, so it's not always the same person. But we're trying to get one explanation I give to folks is most people, they don't need to read anything. They're just going to look at the sock. But we do get customers who will spend an hour at the site just going from product to product, and we want to entertain them.
Yep.
Like, you don't need to write a paragraph to say this is a blue sock with stars on it. So go have some fun.
No, I love your copy, right? Most stores, the worst thing about their entire store is their product copy, and your product copy is actually really good, and it shows that you actually write them and you spend the time, right? At the bottom of your product description, you got the normal, sizes and fabric and all that kind of stuff, which nobody cares about in general, and you don't buy it for that, but it's good information to have. But above that, you put a reason why people should buy these socks, right? What kind of feeling are they going to get, or what kind of satisfaction are they going to get when they make this choice? And they are really well written. I thoroughly loved your product descriptions. They're as close to perfect as I've seen in any store.
That's cool. Well, thanks.
That said, when
folks have a lot of fun.
Yeah, it shows, right? And one feedback or improvement you could make there is, you could actually make those full width if you wanted to, with just a little code edit, or you're using the turbo theme, I think. A little simple code edit, you could make it so those are full width on desktop, even though most of them are on mobile anyways, and that would get rid of a little white space right there.
Uh-huh.
And I also like the fact that you do the recently viewed, because there are so many choices. They can go back and basically see what they were looking at. And that's a nice little feature. I think you get using the one that's built in the turbo theme. And then you've got what I called the branding elements before, which I really like, and which reinforces the mission and the value prop of the business and the mission behind the business, not just the socks. And then you've got product reviews, which are awesome. And what I love, when I look at product reviews and read them, you can see if people, what people value about you, right? And so many of your product reviews talk about the mission. Now, and none of the ones on this page here do they actually do that. But I've looked at so many of them, and they talk about how they love their Skittles, right? They love the note, right? So the human connection, the personal story really resonates with them. And they talk about the mission and people of differing abilities. And because I see those comments in the reviews, that to me is the data behind the fact that your mission and story are coming through really well, right? I had some stores where they're mission based, and it shows up in the reviews and like, yeah, we're doing all the right stuff, And you've got to tell your story for people to know your story. You guys are doing a good job of telling it. But I've also had people that tell their story and it doesn't show up in the reviews. And that's just a sign that either we're telling it wrong or people don't care, right? It doesn't move the needle. But in your space, it is totally a differentiator for you, and your customers absolutely love it, right? So on this page here, right, some of the things that I would add, right? So because you're apparel, two really important things are shipping and return information. Now you've got a shipping policy, you've got a return policy. What I normally do for a store is I, build a little accordion functionality. You know what I mean when I say accordion?
I'm not sure I do.
Your FAQ probably has an accordion where you put it on and it expands out, right? Yeah. So I usually put in a little accordion functionality and just insert the shipping policy and the review policy in there. So there's review and shipping information on that page. Another thing that could be really useful, and I would put this in an accordion also, is you talk about where your socks are manufactured most of the time, and there's different manufacturers, right? You could have an accordion that is about the manufacturer, and you could write that on a page, a page being an entity in Shopify, right? Like a collection, a product, and a page. You could have a page for each one of your manufacturers, and then put in some if-then logic in liquid code that says, if the product.vendor is equal to, lasockcompany.com, then show this page of information. And on that page, you would have their logo and a little bit of description about them, right? Some people, care about where their socks are manufactured, what chemicals are used. And you can do that at the company level. So you write that page about a company once and then use it for all the socks that, the company has. And then, I love the fact you got the review stars up here. You're showing the sale information. That's all nice and good. I generally don't put a variant of one option on a product, right? And that's just a design choice on my side, right? If there's only one color it comes in, I wouldn't show color as a variant for this product. In the description, I might say, comes in blue or something like that, just because it looks empty. And that might be one of those, I'm too close to this and I spend too much time on websites. But I try to make it as simple as possible and as non-confusing as possible as I can for my customers, right? So putting up a variant of one, they're like, well, is there a purple option that's just not showing today, and that kind of thing. So. Okay. But on your product page, right, I would have that accordion or whatever functionality for more information. And I fully believe that a product should be a standalone one-page website. And what I mean by that is you also have, your mission-based and that good stuff. And you've got the little circle value, the brand value props. But you might also have in this accordion or tab functionality where you're stacking up all this content. You might have something like about the mission, or about the charities, or what your purchase is supporting, right?
One of the things that we've thought of adding is a counter that would show either how many hours of work have been created, or maybe how much money has been raised for charity partners. So that you would see that, and you would know that your purchase drives the counter up.
Yes. No, and that's great stuff. So, because a lot of people are going to, they might search for stars and moon socks, right? And they're going to land on this page of your website, right? They're going to land right on your product page. They're also going to land right on your collection page, and all your other pages. So, because they may be searching for unicorn socks or dolphin socks, and that's a guess on my part that your SEO is a lot of product results they're going to. Mm-hmm. I would make sure that product tells your story. It's not the first thing you say, right? On a shopping page, on a product page, it should all be about shopping to start with. But down lower, for those who want to learn more, you just, keep adding more and more information in there. And like I said, I'm a big fan of, there's no such thing as too much content on a product page.
Okay.
Now that said, another thing I noticed is you guys have a YouTube channel which has hundreds and hundreds of YouTube videos, and they are awesome, right? John, you dance. I love watching you dance in your videos, John. But there's also ones of John doing a review of a pair of socks and those kind of things. So if you had a video for the stars and moon socks or anyone, I would make sure you include that video on this page. And in your about, our mission or about our story, that could also be a video too, right? Videos are amazing. There's one I saw of the two of you. You do have one video on your site. It's like your corporate page or something. And just watching the two of you banter about, John, you're saying, my mom, Mark, your wife. It was just adorable to watch that interaction going back and forth.
You're so adorable.
But and the two of you together have a really good rapport, right? So and that makes you guys like a father-son pair that people want to buy from. Like, these are nice people, right? And do you want to buy from nice people, or do you want to buy from billionaires who are in their own little space race, right? Well, it's a really simple value prop.
We do point out that Jeff Bezos is not putting thank you note and candy in those Amazon packages.
Yeah, but he is thanking his Amazon employees for sending him to space and giving them a livable wage. So, but that's exactly my point, right? If people wanted to buy from billionaires, or if all they cared about was unicorn socks, they'd be on Amazon buying unicorn socks. They're not. They're on your store, and your differentiator from any of the big companies is you are human beings, and you're human beings that are likable and people can get along with, right? And when I buy my crazy socks, am I going to tell the story of, yeah, I got this from this big, corporate conglomerate and I saved 15% and got them in 2-day shipping? Or am I going to say, no, I got these and, from John's Crazy Socks, and they're going to tell the story about John and how these socks are helping people of differing abilities, right? People are going to be so proud to tell that, and you know that already. All I'm saying is, add that content into the product page and use video on your site way more than you're using it today, right? Okay. I have built product pages with 8 or 9 videos on them, and you can embed videos in your photo carousel now, which has been around for I think a year now. I also put them inside of the product description. I'll have them, if I do an accordion functionality, I'll have videos inside the accordion functionality. But definitely leverage video, because you're creating it, right? I was amazed when I went to your YouTube channel and saw how many videos you guys are creating. So because you're creating that content, make sure to get it into your store.
Okay, you got to get that done tomorrow.
What?
Don't listen to him, John. Tell your dad it's his problem to solve.
You just got to keep dancing.
Okay, I will.
But on your product page, right? A lot of good information there. Does your review engine allow photos?
I think yes. We use the the stamped IO review engine.
I don't remember if they allow photos or not. Does anybody submit photos?
We get photos from customers all the time.
In your reviews?
Not in reviews. We get them in emails and and then on various social media sites.
Yep. So I would do a quick check to see if you can get them. Oh, I think they do. I think I see a video or a photo right there, unless that's your product photo. Those are product photos. Yeah. So if Stamp.io allows customers to submit photos, I would recommend you do that also, just because it's more fun for them. Oh, there's one. You do have it on. It's just not too many people are soliciting it. So what you might want to do is check with Stamp.io. I use JudgeMe for most of my clients for reviews. And I'm not saying you should move to the platform. All I'm saying is on JudgeMe, there's a feature. If someone leaves a review, you can send a follow-up email saying, hey, thanks for that great review. Would you like to add a photo, right? Okay. So see if Stamp.io has that ability, because they may not think about it when they're submitting the review, and just that extra nudge might get a few more of them, because it just helps liven up your site a little bit.
It's more social proof, and it's more, yes.
Yeah. So, we just talked about the product page. I want to take it up to the next step above that, which is your collection pages, right? So I'm just going to go to the All Men's Socks collection page. Now, on your collection page, you're showing your review stars. What I've started doing on a lot of my stores is not showing review stars on the collection page, because all your review stars are the same, right? They're all 5-star. maybe a 4.5 or something like that.
Right.
So it doesn't help, on Amazon, it's really useful because some products are actually 2.5 stars. But if they're all 4 or 5 stars, it's not really helping me make a decision, right? And I see some have stars and some don't, and it becomes an inconsistency thing. So I've started taking review stars off of collection pages because they're not helping me make a decision, right? Now, on your collection pages, you're using a filtering app over here, correct?
Yeah, we use Shop. You know what? I'm having a senior moment here. I was about to say Findify.
Findify. Okay, I use a different one most of the time. But does this one allow you to do things by tags?
Yes.
It's because right now I can see you doing it by price, size. Is that by variant?
Yeah. So the size, we do size, we do color, and we're always trying to clean this up.
Yep.
We do it by brand. We do it by it's size, it's color, it's price, it's brand, and it's silhouette. We should have silhouette there.
Is silhouette like ankle height, knee height?
Yeah.
That kind of, okay. So the size one makes sense to me, right? I like that filter. So first of all, when you have 3,000 products in your catalog, a filter app is absolutely essential, right? The Turbo theme comes with what I call, a rudimentary level filtering. It's actually good for included in a theme, but it's nowhere near what you need. So you definitely need an app like you've already made that decision. The size one makes total sense to me. Color absolutely makes sense. And what I like is you haven't made too many colors, right? You've got one blue. You're not saying turquoise and sea blue and navy blue.
We're constantly evolving that.
Yeah.
And even on sizes, had a conversation about that again today. What I would rather do is for sizes have extra large, medium, and small.
Yep.
Because men's is large, women's is medium, but that's how people search.
Yes.
They search for women's. They don't search for medium socks.
Yep. Well, I actually have size 13 feet, and most standard men's socks stop at 12. So, like for me, does this go to size 14s or is it only for 12s? That's an important thing when I'm looking at socks, actually.
Yeah.
But color makes sense. Like I said, I love the fact you don't have too many colors. You might even want to reduce that by 1 or 2, like the beige and brown or something. But it's nice you don't have 14 different blues. I like that. I like the price. Do your customers care about brand?
Don't know. We don't think. I mean, some of the brands are hard to distinguish anyway. We can see some patterns that with some brands people prefer them, but I don't think it really matters to them.
Well, if you see when I clicked on a brand here, right, it changed your URL up here. So it's the collection name followed by a question mark, Findify filters by a brand. So if you're using Google Analytics, you could actually go in and see if people are using that filter or not.
Okay.
Because my gut tells me it's not important at this level.
Yeah.
Now, do you have an idea of what other things would be important here? For example, I think that a filter by, sports, astronomy,
yes,
cartoons,
and this, we've tried doing this with our drop-down menus. Themes can matter, but then you wind up having so many different themes.
Yes.
And that gets to be overwhelming. That could matter. And the silhouettes matter. So
one of the things I've done before with a store, because you're absolutely right, you can have way too many. Like I'm right now working on a store that sells board games. And a lot of board games have what I call a franchise. They do, one board game this year, another one under the same title next year, and that kind of thing. But they have too many of these franchises to just have a list of franchises, right? So what we did is we built this concept of a franchise in the store. And then when you're on a game that is in a franchise, and we do that with a little if-then statement, right? if this product has a tag and it's used in a collection also, there's a little logic we had to put in place. Then we say on that product page, hey, this game is part of this franchise. Do you want to see the other games in that franchise? For you, it could be themes instead of franchises, right? Hey, these socks are animal socks. Do you want to look at other animal socks? Right. And when it comes to large catalog stores in Shopify, Shopify doesn't give you a lot of good tools for this, right? So there are some add-ons like the app you're using, but you'll end up spending a lot of time augmenting your data, right? You'll either do that through tags or through meta fields, which just got a whole bunch easier in the past 2 weeks with the new meta fields being exposed on the Shopify admin that just rolled out. I used it today for the first time and loved it. So it's easier to do those things now, but augmenting your data is, for large stores, augmenting your data is absolutely required, and it becomes a differentiator, right? Because then it makes it easier for people to find things. You're right, a pull-down menu of all your themes is way too many, right? I went to your all collections page, and you have hundreds of them, kind of thing.
Right.
But if someone lands on stars and moons and whatever theme that ends up being, whether it's space or astronomy, and then they could see that this is in the space theme or the astronomy theme, and do you want to see all others in that collection, right? That can be a nice little element right here somewhere.
Yeah, we do have to. People value it because of the selection, and one of the things that people view us mainly as a gift store. And it's because you can personalize things. So the old 80-20 rule doesn't apply. It's more like 60-40. 40% of the socks account for 60% of the revenue because you got a long trail in searches. We don't have that many true bestseller socks.
That makes total sense. Total sense.
And so the challenge is giving people access to the choice without overwhelming them and without having them spend too much time finding what they want. I have spoken to some folks about trying to develop a gamification where you could pick pictures of things you like, and that would result in us showing you socks that you would like.
That would take a lot more product enrichment like we're talking about, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, right? What I'm thinking about was on our stars and moon example where if they search for stars and moon socks or star socks, right, and landed on your stars and moon sock page as their landing page, you're saying, hey, if you're looking for other space things, we've got those too, and here's an easy way to get to them. And I usually don't recommend navigating away from a product page, but I think in your case, it actually might make sense because you have so many choices here. Now, some other things for filters, your silhouette one is missing because that one does make total sense.
Yeah, I don't know why, so I've already got notes here of, well, where the hell is it?
Here's kind of a crazy one for you, unintended. What about, because you are John's Crazy Socks, right? And they're supposed to be crazy. What if you ranked each of your pairs of socks on their crazy level?
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Oh, I like that.
Right, because not everybody is ready.
Yeah. On a scale of 1 to 5 or whatever kind of thing, right? So people, how crazy, because you do have, things that are very subdued. You have some ones in here. But you've also got some that are just over the top. And maybe people just want the craziest, right? I want to be as silly as I possibly can. Give me the 5s.
Right. Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, it would mean you'd have to go in and tag each and every one of your pairs.
Tag everything and rate it, right?
I like that.
Okay, so you're going to go in and do the tagging. You got to evaluate all 3,000 and scale it 1 to 5.
What?
Yeah.
John is looking incredulous for those who are on audio.
I can pick my favorite socks.
No. You have to rate each pair on how crazy is that pair of socks. Okay. Is it very crazy, or is it a little crazy, or is it not crazy at all?
Oh.
And you got to do that for 3,000 pairs of socks.
Okay, I can make it work.
You get busy.
You can make it work. I love that attitude.
I can make it work. I love it. I feel creative.
So, on your collection pages, right, it would be great if you had, a couple more, I'd just say more useful, right? The themes is a hard one because there's so many themes, but just like you did with colors, if you could simplify that to a smaller set of colors or smaller set of themes, or the most popular themes that there are,
right,
that might be useful. But what I saw, to be honest, the only useful one here was, for me, was size and color.
Right.
And I like that you have rainbow as a color. That's cool. So the collection pages, you just need better filters, right? And more filters, which is just hard to do because it means you have to manually tag or create meta fields for everything. But once you do that and enrich your data, then your catalog becomes more useful and more engaging as a shopping experience.
Well, we're going through, one of the processes we're starting on is we're going through to create our own photographs of every item in the store so we can standardize that presentation. And
Yep.
so part of that process, we can go through and tag everything.
Yes. That's a lot of work for photography. You're going to take photography in-house, huh?
We are negotiating with somebody to do it and get up to speed and kind of have an assembly line of, we're just feeding them stuff and they're taking photographs.
Are they close by?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. It's with my clients. They all ask me, "Do you know a photographer?" My answer is always no. I wish I did. Finding a good photographer for product photography is hard, but if you can find one and it works out, it's incredible, right? Photography makes such a difference. I didn't even mention it on the product page just because I realized you were taking the photos that were given to you by the suppliers. And
some we take, but some you're getting it from the supplier, so it's all different, and we want to standardize it. My concept is, and you can see this with well-branded ones. You want somebody to be able to look at the photo and know that came from our store.
Yep.
And the way we take it, and the way we frame it, right?
Yeah. So let's take it up the next level, which is navigation, right? So we talked about the products, we talked about the collections, and then the first step is navigating the top of your site. So I'm clicking right now on the first link in your main nav called Men, and nothing's happening. So one of my best practices, and it's a hover effect for those who aren't looking at this video, it's a hover effect. One of my best practices, and this is really important also in mobile, where you got the hamburger menu, right? And you got to hover over it and then go over to the right and click the down arrow to get it to expand. I like top level nav elements that are clickable and take you somewhere. Now, I don't want you, when you click on this Men here, to go to the all men socks, right? That's too many choices. But what I would like to see is a page that you build out that just mimics the sub-menu items of ankle, athletic, basics, crew, dress, knee-high, and all the rest of them, right? So that page would just be it's a list of collections page, right? So for people who click on that Men link, and then they get a visual identifier along with the text that's there in the drop down.
Okay.
And so they can see the difference between ankle and you could bucketize those also, right? The first half of that might be shop by size. So you want ankle? Do you want knee high? Do you want compression? That kind of stuff. Or shop by and you have multiple groupings on that page of shop by color or shop by price, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Would you recommend on that page putting some bestsellers at the top, or just having an organization of collections?
I would have bestsellers as a collection, not as products, right? Okay. And the reason for that, the normal answer with most of my clients is yes, put bestseller products, put 4 of them at the top, just 4. But you have so many socks. When I land on your homepage and I click on Men, you do not know enough about me to tell me these 4 socks are the right ones for you.
Right.
So having bestsellers as a collection totally makes sense, but I wouldn't put products on that page.
Okay.
So, and that's, pretty true for all of your links here. Now, why do you have socks? So your top level nav is men, women, kids, collections, and then socks. Why do you have socks on there?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't, I'm not trying to deny responsibility, but I don't know. We've been changing this a lot. So I don't know what the rationale is.
Yep. No problem, right? So to me, it's one of those, the whole purpose of your experience, right? At the navigation level, the list of collections, the collections, and the product is to help people make a decision and tell you what they want, right? And socks is a counter to that, So there's nothing wrong with see all.
The only thing I can imagine is because we're telling you this is all socks, and on the other side we have some variations, but that's confusing.
Yep.
Okay.
Now on the things up here, right? So you told me that most people or many people buy your socks as gifts.
Right.
So one of the things you could create is landing pages for different gift events.
Yeah.
Right. For example, wedding party. I see you have a lot of wedding party stuff, right? And wedding stuff, groomsmen, bridesmaid, father of the bride, so you could have a gifts top level section.
Yep.
And then you could have a category underneath that for all these major gift giving events like birthday, anniversary, Mother's Day, Father's Day, wedding, new baby, all those different categories.
That's a great idea. And we're pushing more. I mean, we're trying to do two things. One, we're growing the store, and like we're going to be adding our own lines of socks, because we want people to think of us as the one-stop shop for any sock they need. But at the same time, we want to lean into that gift giving. So, here's something we're going to experiment with this year. We're going to put out a holiday catalog. It'll be right now, we're just planning on making it a digital catalog, but we're going to play off of some of the old Neiman Marcus things. So we're going to have some over-the-top gift options.
Yep.
Right? One of them is going to be socks for a year. We'll send you a new pair of socks for every day of the year. And they'll have some outrageous cost. I'm not really expecting anybody to buy it. But yes, that would fit in perfectly to gifts. Then you could come down. We have your wedding party gifts. We have birthday gifts. We have Mother's Day. We pick up some of that in the collection for events, but that would be a good thing to do.
Yeah, and you have in your store right now with the Turbo theme, you have the page.details template, right? Which is my favorite template of all the themes, right? Because I would make these pages, not collections, and you would have, normally what they look like when I make them, let's just say it's the wedding one. The banner would be a wedding lifestyle stock photo, or a whole bunch of groomsmen showing off their colorful socks, right? Kind of thing. There's a lot of ones where all the groomsmen are different superheroes and that kind of stuff. Something fun like that. And then underneath that, top products, and then a collection of everything, and maybe some descriptions, and then also tell your story, because this page, right, becomes a landing page for you. It's not just part of your browse experience, but as you start marketing to weddings in May timeframe, hey, get socks for your wedding party. You send them to that page as your landing page for that experience.
Yeah. And Scott, just to correct one thing, this is the Flex theme. We went from the Turbo to the Flex theme.
Nice. I like Flex even more than Turbo. I've all my projects in the past 2 years have been in Flex, and all my projects from the previous 2 years before that were all in Turbo.
And so now, with Shopify 2.0, who knows where we're going?
I would assume the Out of the Sandbox folks will have the best theme still, but I'm definitely anxious to see what this Sections Anywhere is going to be like. But with Flex, you've been living with almost Sections Anywhere for quite a while anyway. You know what a lot of it's going to be like, where people in the debut theme are just going to be a whole new world for them.
Yeah.
So, at your top level, I would have gifts in there also, right? You've got subscriptions, which is awesome. Do you have a lot of people subscribing to your offering?
We do. We've been kind of stuck for a bit, and we're about to change apps that we use to manage that.
Yep.
Because right now we have 2 separate carts.
Yep.
And we have not been able to really update the products or the page or get good data. So we are moving from our current vendor, who we've been with since 2017, to
So that was gold, probably.
Yep, and we're
Yep.
going to, and we haven't pulled the plug, but
Yep.
but it looks like we'll be going to recharge.
Yep. I find those two to be equal. I don't have a preference of one over the other. Well, actually, I do a little bit. I actually think Recharge is a little easier to use. But Bold, the nice thing about them is if you're going to do other things like wholesale or some other things that affect price, anything that affects price, you want one vendor providing you all those apps, because all that will happen when something doesn't work is they all point at each other and no one gets anything fixed. So the reason I use Bold is, well, I'm going to do subscriptions and we're going to do wholesale and we're going to do quantity breaks or something like that. So one app provider will solve your problems regardless of which app is the cause.
Well, we will be entering wholesale. We now have a strategic partner, and that's what they do. They do wholesale. Not sure if we're going to do that through Shopify, though.
I've built a ton of wholesale stores in Shopify. As a matter of fact, I have a podcast episode from the early days, like 2 years ago now, of how to do wholesale, like 4 or 5 different ways to do wholesale in your Shopify store. And I've had a lot of clients who were hesitant, like they had a pencil and paper wholesale business that they've been doing for 20 years. And the second we put it online, they were amazed at how quickly their B2B customers adopted to it and how much revenue got driven through it. I've not done a wholesale store that wasn't very successful, right? And increased the business that the company was doing.
Yeah, well, obviously that's something we would like.
Yeah. And so you've also got a sale merchandising, right? Which I like the idea of sale there. That's a good one. The one that's missing on this top level nav, that's a normal one, you don't have to have it, but it's new.
Is?
And you could have new underneath your top categories of men, women, and kids, but just let people see what is the latest and the greatest and the newest, right?
And we've had that in drop down, but part of the challenge, and this, right? Almost 70% of our traffic is coming on a phone.
Yep.
So we got to play with what we have up there, but that could be a helpful one to have. The not socks, because we're increasingly offering other things. One of the things.
I love the fact you call that not socks. That's funny.
We have customers. We have very loyal customers, and they come back and want to buy from us.
Yep.
But there's only so many socks you can buy. So we're building out. We've been experimenting with some of the home things. We're going to be building out more Down syndrome related and autism related products that are really tied to our core audience or our initial audience.
Yep.
And then the B2B is what the services menu is about.
Yeah. And you have a lot of stuff you're doing there. I was impressed going through that whole list of things. Like
we have a whole set of services. It's the custom socks. It's fundraising programs. It's I was calling it concierge orders, where we'll customize packages, and we've done that for Google and Ernst & Young and large corporations. When we redo the website, we need to redo what we're doing with custom socks.
Yeah. Well, and all those pages are hard, right? These really content heavy pages are hard to do, but you actually done a pretty good job with them, right? Where they're graphical, you're mixing up content and graphics, you're you're moving and shaking things around a bit. So it's not just a big long list of text, right? These are a little more skimmable than just a bunch of text. So that's really well done. I'm super impressed with what you pulled together there. Now, one other total random tangent we're going to take here is right now you're using Kalam, is my guess, is the font you're using, because that's inside of the list of Shopify fonts. And I actually think that Shopify needs a couple of friendly, fun, Crayola permanent marker type of fonts, and they don't have one of them. Kalam is the closest, and I think it's awful compared to something like permanent marker. So when you go and do your redesign, if I was you, I would just pull in permanent marker or a font like that as an external font. Normally, I don't recommend external fonts because, Shopify's got 200 of them or whatever listed on their website. But a good handwritten, fun, and friendly one is a gap in what their portfolio is.
Okay, that's what we'll look at.
So, pulling in permanent marker or something as a third party to replace Kalam, you'll be much happier with it. It looks more realistic.
Okay.
Yeah, there's the video that I liked, right? Putting these on your site a lot more, I think would really help you out. Every time you do one about a product, I'd include it on the product page. For the gift giving pages, those landing pages for wedding and stuff like that, you could have some nice talk throughs and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Now, up at the top level on our homepage, I think the homepage is not that important for your customers. I think the homepage is hugely important for press, industry, and B2B customers, right? Because your customers, your consumers, are going to enter your site through many other places than your homepage, right? A successful store has, less than 10% of its visitors starting their experience on the homepage. It starts on collection pages, product pages, landing pages for ad campaigns, and all that kind of stuff. So, I actually, what you've done is a really good job here of, you have to have shopping on there, absolutely, and you're doing that. But you're also telling the story and guiding those B2B type of customers or industry people on. You have a nice balance here, right? It's all shopping above the fold and at the top, which I like. And then, below you tell the story and allow them to dive in more on that kind of thing. Here you might, you beef that up a little bit with those counters that you were talking about, right? That would be nice stuff there. Now that said, what I like to do is on the homepage banner, I don't like to promote and merchandise and shop on that. What I like to do is basically it's a "You Are Here" sign, right? We are John's Crazy Socks. We promote happiness throughout the world by selling the funnest, craziest socks you've ever seen, right? And that's it. Or you can even go the next step and say, and we give, a percentage of our, profits back to, these missions we support and that kind of stuff. But there, I would tell people who and what you are, because if anybody lands on your homepage, they don't know anything about you yet, right? They didn't see an ad, because you should never be linking in an ad or anything you promote on the web. You should never, ever link to your homepage, right?
Yeah.
Because you know more about the customer, you're going to link deeper into the site. So the homepage is for those people who, just search for John's Crazy Socks or found you somehow and want to know more. So that you got to tell them, here's who we are, here's what we do. And then if they're in the right place, then start selling to them and explaining your services kind of thing. But a little "You Are Here" sign is a nice thing for the banner to have, right? Not a must-have, right? You can merchandise like you're doing here, but I would, to me, that would take it to the next level a little bit. Now, one of the questions I have for you is, I try to ask my clients, if you were a car brand, what car brand are you?
If we were a car brand.
Or a brand, cars is a hard one for you. Most of my clients, it makes sense. If you want to pick a different brand than a car brand, like what's in a brand that you kind of aspire to, and a well-known national brand that everybody would know?
What, I guess, Zappos.
Yep.
Maybe, if they're big enough, Tom's of Maine, somebody with some story and purpose. I would say Apple, except we're not cool in design. It's more fun. So maybe it's Nickelodeon.
What?
So, everything you just said there makes sense to me. And cool design is completely unnecessary in e-commerce, right? For example, I just bought some Google Buds for my Google Pixel phone yesterday. And they've got a website that as you scroll down the page, it opens the product up and it flies out of the case and all this really cool and compelling things, right? It doesn't help the shopping experience at all. And only a company with as much money as Google has to waste is going to spend money making their shopping site do that kind of crap.
Too much money makes you stupid. Yeah, and part of it, and this may reflect some arrogance, I don't mean it to be that way. I don't know of people doing what we're doing. There are other companies doing, and the social enterprise, social entrepreneurship, and I think that's what the future is.
Yep.
Savior Melon is when I say big corporations, I know of lots of other small people doing really good things.
No, I think Tom's is the one you mentioned, or like a Ben and Jerry's.
Savior Melon, to a degree, Bombas does it. Right? And it's part of the conversation we've had with people of, well, people are starting to copy us, and they have. Somebody has taken, they copied our website. Somebody's grabbed part of our URL. Now lots of people make Down syndrome socks, but it doesn't work for them because they're not all in it. You got to walk the walk. So part of it is they don't have John.
Yep. So one of the things to think about with that, right, is I talked about the "You Are Here" sign for your homepage banner ad. Right. Well, only 5 to 7% of your people are going to see that because that's how much traffic should be coming through your homepage. I've worked on a couple other mission-based companies before, and what we did is we put in our logo. We put a very large logo with I forget, it was like, it was a full sentence. It was like a good 12 words. Like, we provide the best men's gifts, badass, gifts for groomsmen, and we give 15% of our profit to military veterans, or something to that effect, right? But we put it in the header because everybody sees the header.
Well, so part of where we're driving on this now is, and I'll try to make the analogy. I keep talking through this. We're going to go omni-channel in terms of distribution, but it's also omni-channel in terms of mission. So we are slightly modifying our logo, and what we're building into it is to put right out there, world's largest sock store.
Yep.
We want the rest of the story. We're going to keep sharing the rest of the story and everything we're about. But we have to connect in different ways. So we're going to start having content with dancing socks. Next week, assuming the costume comes in, we're turning John into Sock Man, and we're doing a whole bunch of videos with John as Sock Man, transforming people. And we've just recorded some with John as a sock tycoon. We're going to keep doing dance videos and talking about what we're doing with Special Olympics. And what we want it to be is, I come here because they have great socks and I got everything I want. And then look at all the things they do. It's like that podcast we heard this weekend, someone talking about it. And then there will be others that will say, you got to love all the things these people do. And then when you get to the site, wow, this blows me away. Look at the great socks they have.
Well, so what I hear you debating, is what's your biggest value prop, selection or story?
And I'm trying to have it both.
Yep. And the more you and things, the harder it is to be successful.
Yes, I know that. So it's a balance. we may have been tipping too much on the story side, and now we have to tip more back to the socks, which goes back to the origin. John just loved socks, and we want to share that love.
Yep.
But we want to resonate it because we want it to resonate with the fullness of the story. Because, we've counted. There are exactly 1 gazillion sock companies. And if we're out there just saying our socks are better than their socks, we're lost.
So what I hear you saying is, and I totally agree, right? Because you said it before, you said, they don't have a John, right?
Right.
To me, it's your story is your biggest value prop by far. You support that story with the best, selection available, but it's the story that drives people.
Yeah. And in the end, I don't think we're really a sock store.
Yeah. Yeah.
In many ways, we're a content company, and the socks become the physical manifestation of the story.
Yep. And what I was leading up to here, right, is you're using the Flex theme. You're using I believe this is the center header, because you have like 4 different header options inside of Flex, and you're doing the one where the logo splits the navigation lines, which is kind of fun, right? I've done that before, but now what I've gotten to, I use center a lot. But what I do is I take the logo out of the main header section and I manually through code move it to the top bar, because the top bar has got the search up there, the cart, and all that other stuff. And then I move the free shipping stuff, and I move that over to the left that you have it on the center. I move to the left and I put the logo up there. And it gives you a lot more space to do things.
Uh-huh.
I actually think the top bar is not as efficient until you do something like that. It's got the cool functionality that you need of the login and the cart and that kind of thing up there. So taking the logo out of the main nav and moving it to the top bar gives you more space. And then, I think you're doing a sticky header. I can't stand the way Flex does the sticky header now. You've got a newer version of Flex. I don't like the hamburger. I custom code that also to show the menu, because for me, the branding's not as important on sticky header for me, because people already have been on the site, they know about it, they're engaging. For me, this should be more about shopping and re-engaging me in the shopping experience. Not like what you're finding here. Click on one of our main nav elements and do that. So I've started changing the Flex themes header I use the center one most of the time, but I move the logo up to the top. And I'm not a fan of sticky, period. But if my client wants sticky, I will put the main nav in there and get rid of the hamburger. Less clicks for me is more important.
Okay. Cool.
So, do people search on your site?
Yes. They search a lot.
Oh, really?
And the ones who search have a higher conversion rate.
What percentage of your customers search?
Oh, I forget the last number. It's still a low percentage, but the ones who do, well, I'd have to go back and look at the number that search.
Yep. Because one of the things to think about with a large catalog, right? We're back to the large catalog problem is, everything we talked about is what's a browse experience, right? Navigating, collections, filters, what information is on the product page. It's all about the browse experience. Another way to handle a large catalog is through a good search experience also. And moving the search, the Flex themes allows a search-centric experience where the search bar is, half the width of the screen. And what I even did for one of my clients who we did a search-centric is if you do that on the Flex theme on mobile, there's no search box. There's a little icon they click and it pops up a thing. We actually got rid of the icon and made a little search bar underneath the logo on the hamburger, header on the mobile phone. And for this company with a large catalog of very unique things, it's the most used thing in their discovery experience, right? A lot more people are searching than browsing in their store. And we saw the data beforehand, but we used that data to say, let's try a search-centric design. And we went really search-centric with the permanent box showing up on the mobile side of things. And it's been really, really useful. And, my guess is it's not natural for your customers to think about searching for their socks. They would want to browse to begin with. But I wonder if you put that option front and center, if it would help them or not, right? Another way I do that is on the collection page. You could have at the bottom of the collection page, still not finding what you're looking for. Why don't you try searching? So let them browse, but if the browse is not successful, which, if they get to the bottom of the collection page, that might be a sign it's not successful. Give them an alternative way to find their products.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Well, you certainly know what you're doing.
I've been doing this for a while. And the beautiful thing is I get to talk to, hundreds of stores. So I get to leverage all their best practices, right? So on that, experience there with the searching and the browsing, they should be able to find their products, right? And on the search, do you look at the no results listing and use that to drive content for your store?
Yes.
That's awesome. Yep.
We look at a lot of factors that to help us figure out what products to add.
Yep.
We can drive people.
Yeah. I found that one to be super useful. Like, oh, there's a hole in our catalog we didn't know about, but people were searching for it and stuff. Now, how are people getting to your site today? Is it balanced between advertising, social, and SEO? And
it is spread across.
Yep.
One thing that's been very frustrating is our organic has been declining.
Yep.
And we're not able to, there doesn't seem to be a single bullet to explain that.
There never is, there's never a single answer to any problem. I always call it the Mighty Duck syndrome. Everybody's, store owners are looking for the one play. If you remember the Mighty Ducks had the flying V,
yep.
That's going to be the knockout silver bullet winner. It's like, it's never that easy, unfortunately.
Yeah, we do. So organic is the most common. Our ads, both the digital and social ads. And that's in tumult with the changes going on in that area. We do very well with our email. We're very kind of protective of our email list. We don't overwhelm people. We're not sending emails out every day. The cornerstone email for us is the Friday email from John, which is just an update. Here's what I'm doing. We're not beating people over the head selling to them. We do get.
So you're using Klaviyo for email?
We're using Klaviyo, yeah.
Great tool. Great tool.
How many? We get a fair percentage from referral and from direct, and from social. We do have, it is one of our challenges. We do have a lot of people that follow us. They get the email. They follow us on social. They're engaged on social, and they don't buy.
Yep.
Love everything you're doing. Well, buy some damn socks.
It's one of those, there are some people that are just born to, sell and chill and embarrass themselves or embarrass you kind of thing, and with high pressure stuff. And there are people that just are not that way, right? And, if you pushed harder, maybe you could move the needle on those people. But then again, if you push them harder, you're going to, make other people unhappy, right? It's one of those, you can't have everything.
I view, we're in this for the long haul.
Yep.
I think of it that we're building a community.
Yep.
I'll give you an easy one for us. Our subscription model. Lots of very smart people are saying, you want to make out there, you ought to make by default that it automatically renews.
Yep.
Well, we don't do that. I hate that. And that's not how you want to treat people. So in the short term, that would make us more money.
Yep.
In the long term, that's not who we're going to be.
Yep. Yep.
And you have to kind of know who you are. Right, bud?
Yeah. So I'm totally stunned here looking at your subscription page. You have 1,400 reviews on your subscription product.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
People It's been a bit stagnant, but that's because we got to improve the page and the flow, and also the offering.
Yep.
We want to have a seasonal offering. We want to have some different offerings out there. We're very fortunate with our customers. I mean, we really, it's pretty simple. You really care. Like, so we talk about spreading happiness is our is the mission that in the end drives us. And we talk about that every day.
Yep.
So here's an example. Customer service, right? It's an easy one. You've heard the line, the customer is always right. Utter nonsense. The customer can be dead wrong. But we're not in the business of being right. All we want to do is make the customers happy. I've told, we call them customer happiness creators. I've told them, you can spend $200 on any customer anytime you want. Just make them happy. Yep. Nobody picks me up on that, but we refund money at the drop of a hat. If your package doesn't get there, we'll resend it. We'll send extra things. Here's the payoff. Not only do we get loyal customers, our refund rate is 0.5% of our revenue.
Yep.
Treat people well.
Yeah, totally. It's and because you're nice to them, they're going to be nice to you.
And when you do something special, they go tell somebody.
Yeah.
It's a little thing. We're on Long Island outside New York City. We're in the town of Huntington. We live in Huntington Village. Our office, warehouse, it's about a 20-minute drive. If we get an order between the office and home, what are you doing?
I do a home delivery.
We did a home delivery. We're at our home now. We did a home delivery on our way home tonight.
Nice.
Because even if you live in San Diego and we're not doing a home delivery to you, you like the idea. These people do home deliveries, and people, they take their photo with John and then they go and share.
Oh, totally. Yeah, that's the thing that's going to, people are so proud of and share it out. It's totally awesome. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, I don't want to go through all of your evergreen pages because you have a lot of them, but I do want to go through your story page, right? Your About Us page.
Yeah.
I love your About Us page, right? You tell your story, you got lots of great photos, and you've got this, thematic branding going on that you guys, did with the photography where you have the image of father and son there, but you put it on top of the brand elements, and that works out really well. The one thing I want to just say here is what I didn't find on your site that I find amazing is the rest of your team, right?
Yeah.
I saw some of your videos where you were walking around the warehouse and shooting video of the rest of the team, and they're all awesome and fun. Yeah. And I would just include something about
100%. We should put everybody up there.
Yeah.
And we have some things in the works that will make that even more important. Right? We're going to create a program to create micro franchises to put other individuals with different abilities and their families into business.
Yep.
Basically, here's a business in a box. We're going to give you everything you need. We're going to give you inventory. We're going to give you a stand so you can have your own business selling our socks.
Yep.
And if I could get 500 people like that across the United States, how incredible would that be? And then we want all of them telling their stories.
Well, and that's what I found amazing on your videos was not only, is John participating in this enterprise, but you have a whole bunch of other people on the staff that are working every day. They're employed, they're contributing, and that's just got to be awesome for them and their families.
Yeah.
So that's my only point on that one is I would make sure you add the rest of the team in there. Fun photos of all of them or videos kind of thing would really take this to the next level. Although it's already awesome. So that's enough feedback. I can continue going on for a while, but in general, your store is just fabulous, right? Your products are fabulous. It's just a little bit on the shopping side, helping people make decisions, right? How can you break things down step by step instead of just dropping them? Here's 100 things. Give them some tools to take that 100 down to 10, right? 10 I can look at and consider.
100, too many things for me to make a choice.
Too many, right. Makes me think of my middle son. Would go on road trips. We'd hit a 7-Eleven or a Quick Mart and say, okay, let's not be too long. And he'd get in there and look at the cooler with all the drinks and freeze.
Too many flavors.
Be in Vladivostok where there's one choice, you know.
Yep, exactly. Excellent. So, any other questions before we wrap this up?
No, this is wonderful. Here's a question. I know you're going to edit this. Could you send me the unedited tape? Because I want to share it with my colleagues.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that. No, and then when you do promote it, when you do publish it, we'll promote it on our social media.
Excellent. Glad to see that.
We think thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's very helpful.
Oh, you got to get to work.
I really appreciate that.
Right. All right, Scott.
Absolute pleasure talking to you, gentlemen, this evening.
Thank you very much. And if you need anything else from us, just let us know. We'll get you the information.
Will do. Sounds good, gentlemen. Thanks for talking.
Right.
Thank you.
Bye.